Texas Volleyball has a couple of big games this week at home. Soccer as well, looking to capture their first ranked win, and Tom Herman back in the press conference doing his 1-0 thing. Welcome in to College Press Box. Welcome into College Press Box. I'm Robert Trevino, joined alongside Jaxie Pidgeon. Thank you for joining us on your Monday evening. Let's get right into it. Texas football was on a bye week, and as such, the main event this week was Texas Volleyball.
That's right. This past Wednesday, Texas Volleyball played against Iowa State. I was at Gregory Gymnasium to give you more on this game.
On Wednesday night, the 6th-ranked Texas Longhorns took on the Iowa State Cyclones, opening up Big 12 conference play. Texas is one of 2 Big 12 teams ranked in the top 25 alongside Baylor. It was comic book day at Gregory Gym. There were Captain Elliott masks and posters of team members. Some fans and Texas mascot Hook'em took advantage of this opportunity. The Longhorns were off to a hot start, but quickly started to lose momentum defensively, leading them to play 4 sets.
Our defense has to get better. It's something that we're spending some time on and trying to get better. You look at Iowa State and they hit 200 and they hit 444, 135, and then 333. So, our offensive numbers will come, but we've got to get those numbers down to about 175 to 200.
The Longhorns took down Iowa State in 4 matches. The freshmen played a pivotal role in Wednesday's win.
I knew we needed some energy, so Jenna kept giving me the ball and I was providing for the team.
Let's see. Skylar, 394, 15 kills on 33 attempts. Molly, 7 kills on 10 attempts at 700. Okay, and Aisha's doing a nice job. Tonight wasn't a great offensive night for her, but I thought she came along and provided some big blocks and did a good job on the service line. So, for what their role is right now in terms of coming in and having to take on so much responsibility and perform every single night, they've done a phenomenal job. But more importantly, they've been great to coach and they're responsive and they're fun to have around.
Senior middle blocker Oriag Baji shared her insight on what the freshmen should expect and look forward to in Big 12 play.
Personally, for me, it's strap in. You have to. Every team is going to want to give them your A game every night, and so you have to be ready to go and really be ready to play in the team. My position on the team too is, even though I'm not in that starting role or playing as much, I'm still here to provide for the team and do whatever it takes. And so when my number is called, I'm on and ready to go and do whatever the team needs.
Ori's the ultimate team player. She's come in and did a really nice job. She got to play a few weeks ago and did some really nice things, and there's some trust with her teammates in that. And she works hard every single day and is a great teammate. And what she did today was huge.
Head coach Jared Elliott shared his thoughts on Wednesday's win.
Look, that's a good win. It was a challenging win. We weren't in rhythm the whole night. I think we were pretty up and down. But overall, I think we did a really nice job.
With a strong team effort and a huge help from the freshmen, the Longhorns were able to stay undefeated at home, taking down Iowa State 3-1. From Gregory Gym in Austin, Texas, I'm Jaxie Pidgeon, TSTV Sports.
After the win against Iowa State on Wednesday, Texas Volleyball was back at Gregory Gym on Sunday to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. The Longhorns swept the Raiders 3-0, bringing Texas to 2-0 in conference play. And now joining us now in the studio is Daniel Shih to tell us more about these wins. Welcome back, Daniel. This past week, the Longhorns took down both Iowa State and Texas Tech at home to kick off Big 12 play. How significant do you think these 2 wins, especially the sweep against Tech, were for this team?
Well, if you're a Texas fan, you should expect Texas beating Iowa State and Tech, especially at home. I was a little surprised, however, that Texas lost to Iowa State, lost a set to Iowa State on Wednesday. They did allow 52 kills to the Cyclones, and Jared Elliott vowed for a better defense versus the Cyclones. I think one of the reasons why they struggled a bit was they were too tense. They played so many high intensity games against high-ranked teams, and they lost their rights on the road, and they came back to face Aggies at home. And I think that just put a little bit too much pressure. They were too tired, I think, a little bit. They had a couple of games in a row, and fortunately they did find their rhythm versus Tech, and that was a dominating win. I don't have any other ways to say it. And they were so dominant that Jared Elliott actually tested different looks, even putting Ashley Shook in there, putting Brianna Butler back onto the court, and just testing different looks and make sure all of the different set pieces work well on the court. And I think that part is important for this Texas team.
Right, and as you said, with this Texas team coming out on top for both games, what do you think are the greatest strengths of this team that helped solidify these victories?
offense efficiency. They lead the country in kill percentage right now at 33.4% among all of their kills, and that's against tough opponents like BYU, Stanford, and Minnesota, and USC. They're not playing this cupcake schedule that's just giving them kills after kills, and that comes with consistent sets by Jenna Gabriel and Ashley Shook. They ranked 10th in the country in assists per set at 13 assists per set, and especially against Baylor later on the season, when Baylor's not particularly great in the at blocking, and Texas really should take advantage of their swings at the net. I think that will be important for Texas to take advantage of later in the season.
And finally, like I said earlier, Texas has now improved to 2-0 in Big 12 play. What challenges lie ahead for this team heading into the rest of the season?
I think defense and serving is important for the Longhorns. With Breon Butler out due to injury, Texas relies on freshmen at the front of the court to stop the kills. And Jared Elliott mentioned how the Texas blockers are too prone to decoys and misdirections in his press conference. And I think it's good at least that they found this problem early, because they have the second half of the season to take care of this. And the other side is their serving has to improve. It is a little bit better than last year. They're much more aggressive. They're causing much more chaos and havoc for their opponents. But they're serving 16 more errors than their opponents overall this season, and that you just can't give away free points like that, especially when you're again playing Baylor later, and they're all ranked #1 in the country this week, and then you're playing elite teams in the Elite Eight later in the NCAA tournament. So when you're facing elite teams, you can't give away free points, because that stops your momentum. And when you're trying to hold the other team and you finally get the ball back, you can't just serve the ball out of bounds again. So I think for Texas, they need to focus on serving, and defense, I think that will pick up later.
All right, thanks, Daniel. When we come back, we will look at a Big 12 soccer matchup between Texas and Kansas State. Stick around, you won't want to miss it. Welcome back to College Press Box. This past week, Texas faced two opponents in the Sunflower State. The first game was against Kansas, where Texas came out of Lawrence victoriously, winning 1-0. The second game was against Kansas State Wildcats. Let's take it to Kansas for the highlights. In the first half, senior midfielder Laramie Hall tries to get things going for K-State, but is stopped by Nicole Curry. Just under 2 minutes left in the half, Sierra Henson attempts a header, just misses the goalpost, scoreless at the half. Second half, Sydney Billups passes to Henson, but that ball is going to be deflected by Rachel Harris. 4 minutes left in the game, Billups again to Haley Berg, crosses the K-State defender, and Julia Grosso gets this ball to the back of the net, putting Texas on the board. All Longhorns players are hugging and celebrating as they finally scored a goal. Time is at Buser Family Park as Texas will take home a 1-0 win over the Kansas State Wildcats. Angela Kelly and the Longhorns are now on a 3-game win streak.
We're now excited to welcome in soccer analyst Ted Kim. Ted, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Robert. Once again, I'm glad to be on this show. Shout out to Master Control.
Oh yeah, great. So great to have you on. Let's get right into the questions. So huge win for the Longhorns, Jaxie just described for us. First win against a ranked team. Is this a sign of improvement for the Longhorns? And if so, what did you learn from Texas?
Robert, once again, great to be on the show. And yes, this team is improving. The Lady Longhorns are on a 3rd win streak, coming from a win against ranked 17 Kansas and Providence this week. Texas's defense was unmatched going up against Kansas, making the Jayhawks struggle and holding them to 5 shots in the first quarter. The Jayhawks had a chance to take the win for their home game with 9 corner kicks, but Texas beat it to them and made them have a tough time. And man, oh man, Robert, do the Longhorns just love to rain more terror on Kansas. The Longhorns went up against Kansas State yesterday, and during the first quarter, they were aggressive, collecting 6 shots, while the Wildcats had 0 in the first 15 minutes. While the Wildcats held an advantage in corner kicks, the Longhorns held a 22-15 edge in total shots and a 9-5 lead in shots on goal. To end the game, redshirt junior Sydney Billups sent out an assist to junior Haley Berg, and Berg fed the ball about 12 yards away to sophomore Canadian Julia Grosso to score the goal.
That's some great analysis there, Ted. So you mentioned a lot of great things. What are this team's strengths?
Easy question, Robert. Although injuries have been all over this roster, the Longhorns are great when it comes to defense. But with Angela Kelly coaching this team, I believe there isn't much for the Longhorns to worry about.
Yeah, right, you are. Winning both of those games 1-0 means you have to play perfect defense to win those games. Huge for Texas to do that. Moving forward, we're in the Big 12 play.
Yeah.
What is Texas looking at moving forward? What are the keys for them?
Well, with 2 conference wins from last week, Texas is looking mighty fine, given that they are ranked 1 in the Big 12 Conference. If Texas continues to play like they did against Kansas and Kansas State, I believe that there's a great chance for them to easily knock out TCU at home this Thursday.
Well, they'll have their work cut out for them. TCU and West Virginia after them, both big offenses.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Ted. It's always great to have you on. After the break, I'll be joined by analyst Thomas Fitch to recap Week 5 of the college football season. Stay right here. In the whole block, can we scroll up? Not that. Joining me now is analyst Thomas Fitch. Thomas, it's great to have you on. It was a bye week for Texas, so we're going to head around the country and see what was going on in the rest of the wide world of college football.
Well, Robert, it's good to be here on College Press Box, joining my 1-0 host. Let's look at some teams who were looking to go 1-0 this week. We're going to start off in South Bend. Notre Dame taking on Virginia. Virginia ranked for just the second time since 2011. Bryce Perkins getting them off to a good start. Touchdown pass to Joe Reed. Cavaliers go up 7-0, but Notre Dame trying to avoid a second straight loss. Sibo Flemister running through defenders, going to tie the ball game up before the end of the first half. Hassis Dubois, what a catch there in the end zone, and Virginia taking the lead into the break. Second half, some pressure there. Myron Tungavailoa Amosa, Tua Tungavailoa's cousin, gets that fumble, takes it down to the 7. Notre Dame would punch that ball in, and a couple minutes later, they're going to drop the exact same play this time. It's Adi Ogundeji. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
Yep, Notre Dame, obviously, heartbreaking loss to Georgia, but right here they're going to put it away with that final touchdown from Tony Jones.
Tony Jones. Notre Dame gets the win 35-20.
Let's head to Oklahoma, Norman, where the Sooners face off against Texas Tech.
It was the Jalen Hurts show. This ball to Charleston Rambo. Talk about a great name. And it was all Jalen Hurts and all this guy, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, playing great in non-conference play, but the ability to step into the Big 12 conference and just lay down some domination on the Red Raiders is really big for his Heisman stock.
Yeah, Hurts had over 400 yards passing. CeeDee Lamb, 187 yards. Sooners get the win. And now to Jerry World, Arkansas trying to play spoiler to the Aggies. That's Devois Whaley. And
close game throughout. Texas A&M playing very well, but right here, big mistake in the third quarter.
Monterick Brown with the interception, but A&M going to come and take the lead there for a little bit. They'd still be in the lead. A minute left. Arkansas trying to do something. 4th and 5. Ben Hicks looking for Cheyenne O'Grady. The pass falls short, and so do their dreams of the upset. A&M gets that win, 31-27.
And lastly, we go to Raleigh for the game of the week that nobody thought was going to be game of the week. I certainly didn't.
Yeah, Mac Brown has certainly beat some #1 teams in his time, trying to do it again here. Sam Howell is going to find Bo Corrales. North Carolina's up 14-7 early in this game.
Clemson playing great football, though. Trevor Lawrence going to take off here with those feet. He can do it all, everything. Front to back, and here on a 3rd and goal, he's going to punch it in. Clemson now looking like their usual selves, looking like they're maybe going to put it away.
Yeah, we head to the 4th quarter. That's T. Higgins, 40-yard touchdown reception. So Clemson up a touchdown. And this drive by North Carolina, certainly impressive.
Took 8 minutes of the clock off, so 2 4th downs in a row, back-to-back, in the same 4 plays. Had to convert there to keep the game going.
And on the 3rd and 2, Javonte Williams breaks a couple tackles, gets it down to the 3. 2 plays later, he punched that in.
And now
should be a tie game. Should be going to overtime, right?
Yes, should be, but
Wrong.
This is every Twitter coach's dream.
Mac Brown.
Going for 2.
Mac Brown doesn't want overtime. Sam Howell, pitch doesn't get off. They're stopped short, but game not over just yet. Onside kick attempt through Clemson's hands.
Looks great.
But North Carolina can't recover it. Clemson, Trevor Lawrence breathing a deep, deep sigh of relief. They escape with the win.
Yeah, so Clemson avoiding probably what would have been one of the most massive upsets in recent college football memory. Let's take a look at the top 10 after this week, because it was a big week for everybody, including Clemson. Alabama takes the #1 spot from Clemson due to Clemson's close game. What are you looking at in terms of the top 10? What team sticks out to you?
Well, there's a couple teams that stick out to me. First of all, the fact that Ohio State's down there at #4, they've looked nothing but impressive. Justin Fields, that guy is playing out of his mind. The fact that Clemson's still there at #2, we've seen how Trevor Lawrence, through 5 weeks, has really struggled, thrown a ton of interceptions. I think he's up to 6 or 7 at this point. The defense is solid, but Ohio State has played better. Other teams that I'm looking at, Florida, still do not quite understand what they're doing in the top 10. I understand they're undefeated, and I understand they're SEC. Other than that, there's no reason. When you're looking at an eye test of them, that game against Miami week 1, which people are considering their strong win, their quality win, was one of the ugliest wins of anybody who watched it. And a lot of people will say it was a week before the rest of the college football season. They started their camp a week before everybody else. They had just as much preparation time. They just happened to be an underperforming Miami team. So when I'm looking at this, I think Ohio State should be higher. Florida State shouldn't be in the top 10.
Yeah, another interesting team there. Oklahoma, we haven't really got to see where they're at yet. So we haven't got to see a true test besides maybe Houston didn't look as great as they maybe seemed. Thank you, Thomas. Great week for college football. Thanks for recapping it with us. When we come back, we recap Tom Herman's press conference today at DKR. He was talking about going 1-0. Welcome in once again to College Press Box. Tom Herman had the week off from the press last week for the Longhorns bye, and he had other people sub in for him. But this week, he was back in Pete Herman form today at noon. Here's what he had to say.
Our quarterback is, as good as there is in the country at managing the game and getting us into good plays and out of bad plays. I'd like to see us defend the pass a little bit better, whether it be in man or zone, and then some consistency in the run game. We've had back-to-back weeks where we felt pretty good about it, so I think we're headed in the right direction there.
This past weekend, Texas women's golf won the Schooner Fall Classic in Norman, Oklahoma, and brought home their first tournament win of the season. The #2 ranked Longhorns turned in a 2-under par 838, beating the second-place team by 9 shots. Junior Caitlin Papp was in a 4-way tie for 3rd place, individually shooting a 2-under par 208. The Longhorns also led the field by having the most birdies as well as the best scoring averages on par 4 and par 5 holes. Their next tournament will be the Betsy Rawls Invitational on October 12th.
On the men's side, the 10th ranked Texas golf team sits in 8th place at the 2019 Nike Golf Collegiate Invite on Monday at Pumpkin Ridge Golf Club. Texas is just a small 28 shots back of Oklahoma, who sits in the lead after day 2. The final round will be on Tuesday with tee time starting at 10 a.m.
This past Thursday through Sunday, Texas tennis senior Anna Tarati competed in the Oracle Intercollegiate Tennis Association Masters in Malibu, California. The Oracle ITA Masters features elite NCAA Division I players in 32-player men's and women's singles draws. In Friday's singles round of 16, the 17th ranked Tarati recorded a huge 6-4, 6-2 victory against number 30, Valeria Zaliva from the University of Central Florida. Later on Friday night in the quarterfinals, Tarati lost an intense 6-4 and 7-5 battle to one of the nation's top incoming freshmen, Abby Forbes from UCLA. Next up for women's tennis is the Oklahoma 15K in Norman, Oklahoma, September 30th through October 6th.
And the defending national champion Texas men's tennis team kept up their winning ways with Christian Sigsgaard, who played a big role in last year's team, winning the singles title of the Red Draw at the Southern Intercollegiate Championships. It was a big week for Sigsgaard as the #2 ranked singles player in the ITA rankings also teamed up with bright young freshman Siem Woldeb to take the doubles title as well. The team, led by new head coach Bruce Burke, will be back in action in Tulsa for the ITA All-American Championships on October 5.
Now let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. On Wednesday, Texas Volleyball will play TCU on ESPNU at 8 p.m. Thursday, Texas Soccer is playing TCU at home, and you can watch that at 7 p.m. on Longhorn Network. Saturday, Texas Football is playing against West Virginia, and that can be seen at 2:30 p.m. on ABC. And lastly, Texas Soccer will take on West Virginia at home at 1 p.m. and can be seen on Longhorn Network.
Thank you for joining Jaxie and I and all of our great guests on this Monday evening. Be sure to catch our sister show, College Crossfire, on Wednesday at 9 p.m., hosted by Turner Barnes. From all of us here in studio and in Master Control, I'm Robert Trevino. Have a great night.